What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the House of Kayfabe. I'm the other Steve, and I am with the Human Wrestling Encyclopedia, the only Derek Jones that matters. And we're going to talk about one of our favorite subjects right now. There's so many good wrestlers going on right now. There's so much just good wrestling. And in the middle of it is someone that I never thought would get to this level. I knew that in NXT, he was built for that. I never thought that an Austrian overweight badass would be one of the biggest wrestlers on the main roster. But Derek Jones, is there anyone in this world that you don't want Gunther to wrestle at this point?
Like right now in this moment, I don't want him anywhere close to Cody Rhodes. Just right now, let him. He's got to get a W at
But
WrestleMania
that's
first,
just
and
for
then
angles.
yeah.
But you want to see him wrestle him.
My booking says Cody wins. Gunther is Money in the Bank champion and stalks the shit out of Cody all the way to WrestleMania like a scary horror movie. And they put on match of the year at WrestleMania.
So this video came about from my observation at the Royal Rumble, where Gunther, who had another long run in the Royal Rumble, was down in the top three 2 years in a row. He chested up to no less than 5 people, Braun Breaker being one of them. And every time he would come into contact with a new wrestler competitor, the crowd would go crazy and say, yes, we want to see Gunther fight Drew McIntyre. We want to see Gunther fight Braun Breaker. This video is called We Just Want to See Gunther Wrestle Everyone. And I've got an autographed Walter card. And again, when they changed his name and he changed his look considerably, and it's very impressive what he's done physique wise. If you've ever tried to lose 10 pounds and be a guy that big, the body transformation is outstanding. Derek, you've said this before, and I'm starting to agree with you, but you always said in the WWE specifically, a man cannot be, because it doesn't work because Rhea Ripley does speak funny.
Right. It's got to be a man.
But a WWE wrestler male wrestler cannot be main event if he talks funny. Now, we're just saying he's a foreigner and he has an accent. We're not saying talk funny, but you know what I'm saying.
Main eventing babyface if he talks funny. He's got to be the heel.
Okay. So does that mean that Gunther can never get out of the heel persona? Will he always have to be this guy?
If he comes out of the heel persona, he's going to be a great U.S. champion, just like Cesaro.
So, Derek, you are the human wrestling encyclopedia. And before Gunther had made it to NXT, did you have any experience with him when he was like in Europe?
Just a little bit. I wasn't as familiar, but I'd heard of, I'd seen. There was a lot of videos of, and he still does it. Those chops, man, they were making the rounds, and they were even worse on the indies because he had no personal connection to these people whatsoever, and he would light them up.
We love work rate. We love to see, some of us more than others, spots where there's a lot of help between the two competitors. Here's the thing about Gunther. None of it looks fake. When he fought Tyler Bate, and you notice I said fight, I didn't say wrestle. When Gunther fought Tyler Bate and when he fought Tommaso Ciampa, I almost thought that maybe he forgot it was a work.
You could be right.
You know what I'm saying?
You could be right.
Dude, it's like watching Japan in the 90s. Although we know he's safe, he's definitely safer than Nia Jax. What can Gunther do to get to the main event and actually be the world champion? Can he be the world champion?
Sure. He's just got to be a heel. he can't be a babyface. He's got to be a heel. He's got to keep doing what he's doing. But he could be a world champion in WWE, no question.
So he could be the guy that goes on Jimmy Kimmel with the belt.
Yeah, but they got to stop trying to blur these lines. They got to let him be what he is. They got to let him be an N-word, a Nazi.
It's the music.
He's a Nazi, man, and it's great.
Not that he's a Nazi, but that
Right.
he's a
The
character.
character, yeah. It's so good. And we as individuals who know the history of, we who see the nonsense of the world today, we did another video about how great it is that Cody Rhodes is just such an American hero and people are eating that shit up. Why not have a Nazi overlord as your big top heel?
Man, you would have loved the 60s and 70s, man, because they had no problem doing those gimmicks back then. Here's the thing about that. I'm so glad you brought it up because it's always the elephant in the room when we're talking about Gunther. Look, Austria is just Canada for Germany. It's basically, it's the same culture. You know, that guy, he was Austrian. He wasn't German. It's in the background. The music, being a music major and a musician, I can tell you that music is Germanic. That music is to evoke the kind of music that you play for Panzer attack videos. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and it was like when I first started watching this last time again, it was right when Alberto Del Rio had his announcer and he would come in with the car, right?
Mm-hmm.
The brand new car every show. And I had been out of wrestling for quite a while. And I remember the first thing I thought was like, oh, Mexican drug dealer. That's what we're doing here, right? I mean, like, is that not what we're doing? But they didn't say it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was back there like, oh, like he was a drug dealer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was cartel. He was 100% cartel.
That's what I thought it was too. Why does this guy like have 52 cars in 1 year everywhere he goes? He has a better car than the one before. It's something to play with. I don't think that they'll ever do
They
it
won't.
out in the world. You know, I think I would call that the Zeb Coulter complex. I thought that we the people shit should have been done to the point of people feeling uncomfortable about it and pushing it. And I remember Zeb Coulter went to like an obvious like immigrant or, you know, someone who didn't look quote unquote white American and asked for his green card and homie had one. And like, whoa, like we could do this all in 50 states and he'd have been a baby face in some of them and he'd been a
Yeah.
heel in others. You know what I'm saying? Let's be honest. Alabama wasn't going to be mad at it. But New York was. I think that there's something to be said that they don't go as far as we would like them, but we're extreme wrestling fans. The reason why you want,
We're also not sensitive.
and we're not sensitive. That really is probably the biggest point. You know, the reason why you want is because we haven't seen that. Like, oh, we haven't seen like Axis versus Allied powers in 70 some 80 some years.
Right.
Let's do that again. I think that the thing that Gunther gets over more than anything, and I think that if I were trying to get someone to watch wrestling for the first time and had to use someone new, I would use a Gunther match because it doesn't look fake.
Yeah.
This shit looks real. Those chops we know hurt. They don't injure. That sucks. If you've ever had someone do it to you and you're all marks and you've had your buddy give you a chop, you know what I'm saying? And he has the best because where Ric Flair's is kind of a knife edge shot, you know, it's more about like the speed of it. And this is about trying to rip your soul in half with the top, with your palm of your hand.
There's no finesse to it whatsoever. Flair hit a good chop to get a decent sound so everybody would woo. Gunther hits you with a chop to see if he can puncture the skin or crack a vertebrae, like,
or hurt your mom
yeah.
through your chest. It's just everything we like about it, about wrestling is what Gunther is. And I think lately his promos have been great. That promo against Seth, when Seth was making, you know, trying to get Cody to go with him and he comes out, dude, Gunther could talk too.
Yeah, absolutely. He has very few opportunities for growth in this business, other than the opportunity of who he stands across the ring from that he has no control over. His abilities are probably second to none. It's
And his movements are not, I think we're getting, and we'll see this even more so in about 10 years. Everyone's going to wrestle the same. We've got two main feds, and each one of them have their developmental, and they all kind of make everyone learn how to wrestle the same exact way. If there's one thing you can say about AEW is AEW does not have a bunch of workers that were trained at the same place in the shows, for good and ill. And WWE kind of feels like everyone has been trained by Shawn Michaels and whoever else down there. Gunther feels different. His wrestling, just his movements. It's one of the things that I liked about Matt Riddle was Matt Riddle moved and did moves with not a lot of finesse and not a lot of slickness to it.
right.
Gunther has that, and it feels foreign when he wrestles. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is not an American wrestler, the way that he moves and does things.
And there's a few guys on the roster that have those same attributes. When you look at guys like Pete Dunne and Trent Seven and Tyler Bate and the guys that the NXT UK brand brought in from their independent promotions in the UK, you can see a clear difference in the way they work and the way they were trained. And the last guy that was in the US that worked that way, that really stood out. I mean, if you want to compare them, I mean, let's look at William Regal in the 90s and just how he abused Goldberg, who was, the top guy that's coming out of the power plant, like, and talking about that, I've always had it in my mind, but we've never really seen it, and I've never seen it. There may be a match out there, but I would really like to see Gunther and Charlie Dempsey wrestle. It's Regal's kid, and he wrestles very similar to Regal, and you can have that. Man, here's Regal in his prime versus Gunther. What kind of match would that have been? Well, here's a small example of maybe what it could have been. There's so many matchups that we could pull to show off that British strong style wrestling.
It's a subgenre that we don't get a lot. We get a lot of Japanese wrestling. We get a heaping plate full of Mexican wrestling. Everybody has, their moves from those two cultures. William Regal. People are not going to fucking believe me, but Derek will. Colt Cabana was someone who could do the British, chain wrestling style. We don't see it a lot. We had Fit Finley, we had William Regal, were the two, I guess, the biggest ones.
Yeah.
I love it. It's refreshing to see a different style of wrestling, because we see so much American, Japanese, Mexican all the time. Everybody does a tope suicida, but not a lot of people throw a drop kick so violently that it does not look like a work at all. Like when he does that, where he falls flat on his back and it's just like almost like a kangaroo kick. Nobody does that shit. It's wonderful. The video is this, and we'll wrap it up. We just want to see Gunther fight fucking everybody. Cody Rhodes when it's good for the angle.
That's right.
But obviously,
leave him alone until then.
But obviously, we want to see that. What do you all think? Tell us what your favorite Gunther matches. Are we right? Do you want to see Gunther fight everybody? Of course we're right, because I'm the other Steve, and that's Derek Jones. I'll see y'all next time.